Thank you, Sebastian. Hello, everyone, dear colleagues and dear friends. I am particularly happy today to host the Exceptius conference at the House of Human Science in this amphitheater. Those who know the place may have noticed that the walls of this amphitheater have been refreshed. It is because it has remained completely empty for months. And as an organizer of scientific events, I can guarantee that we will need time to refill this place like before. All over the world, we were told, stay at home. And people obeyed. And in some ways, keep on obeying even without coercion. We dropped the masks, but not fully. You aim with the Exceptius project organized by the University of Grenoble-Alpes, Sciences Po Grenoble, and the University of Groningen in 2020 was to propose a comparative perspective of the political consequences of COVID through the European Union. How, in time of health crisis, various territories organize governance and disrupt ordinary functioning. Multidisciplinary by nature, your work deals with very specific social and technical arrangements, as well as big questions and issues about democracy and policing. I wish you a fruitful working day and hope that your work will help to inform and inspire policies in the forthcoming crisis. Thank you very much and have a good working day.
Thank you very much. I'm sure we are going to inspire the EU policies and national health policies as well as policing policies as well. I think we will do a very brief introduction, but I don't want to stop Raul from speaking. I may just say a few introduction words. As Laurent has reminded, this is a joint project between Groningen and perhaps Rotterdam, I'm not sure, in the future, and Grenoble, and how this started in a very interesting way. So I remember I was locked in a small house in the center of France. It was March, I think, 2020. And I've started to write a few things. And then I said, there may be an interesting idea and project. So I went to see Raul. And Raul is an entrepreneur, although he didn't go to set up a private company. And also is an economist in his mind, so he always weighs the cost and the benefits. So he said, yes, this is a very good opportunity. And somehow Raul happens to have connection with Clara. I'm not sure about the nature of the connection, but I would say it's quite strong connection. And then we built this small alliance, and we both, in Groningen and Grenoble, we went to our universities and we said, look, we can do something, but in order to get money, we need the other universities' support. So here in Grenoble, we said, well, we have Groningen support, but we need your support for Groningen to be involved. And in Groningen, I found in the emails that it was about the same, so we had to prepare a letter from the University of Grenoble saying, yes, the university supports the project so that Groningen could get some money. So I think we scrapped the money. It didn't fall in our hands. And this is how the project started. So at that time, the project was really a baby. I mean, it almost had no legs, no arms. It was just like perhaps a fetus project. And the project was groomed in Groningen, and it was cherished, and it grew up in size. And it, after I think intense work, the data collection has been largely achieved. And the project come to perhaps the project is in its adolescence, I would say. It's not finished now, over, but it has substantially grown in size and in importance. So I think that's and for the University of Grenoble, this is the end of this 2-year cycle, and there will be some changes as Raul is moving to other horizon in the north of France. And there will be further development, which will be presented by Clara. You are always you are aware of these developments, but the way forward will be explained by Clara. So that's how I understand the situation. I would just also add a few words about the specificity, perhaps, of this COVID and government decision making. Very briefly, I think what we have, which is on the one hand, of course, dramatic if you just add up the number of excess death in the different countries. And on the scientific side, for social sciences, what we see is an epidemic that lasts several years with several waves. And that gives us an opportunity to understand not only, I would say, one-shot decision-making by state authorities at different levels, but also the changes into the decision-making process and the nature of the exceptional decisions. Because what is striking, I don't have the chart, but we all know the chart, is that there are much more people infected today than there were in March 2020. But nevertheless, if you consider the government decision, the level of restraint and coercion was far higher at the beginning of the epidemics than it is today. So it's really interesting to try to understand not only the levels of the severity of the restraints on the, for example, freedom of movement, but also the changes within the state across the period of time. So there is a notion of changes over time that I think can be grasped to a certain extent with the data set. And I think that's not very usual, that we have the data about a government decision making over periods of 2 years in a comparative perspective. That's not common. We have crisis data like the Cuba crisis and in-depth study of public administration, but public decision making over that kind of timeline, well, I think there is something quite interesting. Probably because the public actors are learning something. Probably there is a learning process, and perhaps we can see the effect of the learning process in the data set. This I'm not 100% sure, I'm a bit speculating about it, but there might be something. And I think there may be also, it may be of interest to discuss. I know our Swiss colleague is going to start the discussion, and probably others, but how do we measure the effectiveness of government policies? I have seen that many people use the number of deaths, but if you, for example, use, as you know, the excessive number of deaths, which is a different indicator, you might come up with different ranking of countries and different conclusions. So I think there may be also a need for a bit of theory and indicator discussion about how best to measure, on the one hand, the limitations of freedoms, but on the other hand, the effectiveness of and the marginal effectiveness of the health policies. Well, that's all for me. Raul, would you like to immediately seize the floor?
Thank you, Sebastian. Sebastian told about the past of the project. I just will talk about the present, and Clara, in conclusion, we talk about the future. So, yeah, the story is exactly as Sébastian said. Now we have to thanks especially the Zone NV who financed the big part of this project, and then in Grenoble, just I cite Sciences Po Grenoble, the University of Grenoble, they pay a part of the project, and here, the Maison des Sciences de l'Homme. Now, this conference will be online. Your talks are registered, so you can say no, you can refuse that, but I suggest accepting. And it will be on the website of Exceptius group. In this website, we need also to have MOOCs about your findings, and in several languages, because we try to disseminate information in many countries. So feel free to do it. It is still time to make little video. Also, we prepared the first book. We have planned to do several books. The first is really descriptive about what measure are in a comparative way. Who is the most restrictive? Who is the less? This is the point, but it is useful also to suggest some line of understanding for each point. The book is currently submitted at Palgrave, and yes, they are quite interested, and I'm optimistic for that. And the future book need to have also your maybe leading our cooperation. So we are open to, if you want to be involved in future project, it is also useful to tell us. The database is like all databases at this at the first at the beginning. There are a lot of mistakes. I noticed, and I bet you noticed too. So when you will notice a mistake somewhere, it is useful to send to Clara an email with the point. And the more we work on this database, the best the database is. That's why also we need to publish also peer review articles, and all of you are free to use it for that, and to choose or also co-authors or not. This is free. Okay, just you have to inform us, because for each article, for each side project, we publish on the website the information, and we give the name for maybe expertise. That's it. I believe the present is summed up in these few words. So I suggest now to discuss about results.